Good evening, hello, welcome back to 1874 live for the second time today. This is a match reaction show. It's Crystal Palace 0, Aston Villa 0, a stalemate at Selhurst Park, and this show is sponsored by Luke Roper. If you head to luke1977.com and use the code TVV20 at the checkout, you'll be able to get 20% off everything that Team Luke has to offer. Some lovely garments, so if you want to go and treat yourself, use our code. You'll help yourself and you help us as well. I did say in the live stream this afternoon, at lunchtime, I did say we were due a draw. I probably wouldn't have predicted a 0-0. 1-1 was my actual prediction for the game, but probably could have lost the game in the second half. Could have won it at various points through the game as well. The way the results are as I've ran upstairs, I don't think it's a terrible point by any stretch of the imagination. In many ways, it shows progress, doesn't it? Because we usually stink out the joint whenever we go to Selhurst Park. I've got differing opinions coming in so far in the live stream as to whether it's a good point or a bad point. But after 15 games without a draw, you would say that we were well overdue one. And Palace, I think, have drawn a few games recently as well. Manchester City drawing before I came up the stairs. I'm sure people in the chat will keep me updated as the results come in, should any late goals go through. I've literally jumped straight on here after kickoff. After full time. And Rachel Insuel-Lewis says here, evening all, we are just never going to beat them. But I think the critical thing is today is that we could have lost, we could have won. I think we've come away with some absolutely honking results at Selhurst Park, haven't we? I am erring on the side of, I think that's a good point there, given the circumstances of the game, given the fact that Martinez went off at half time. I've never known a goalkeeper pick up so many knocks and in warm ups and through games and miss games because of injuries and whatnot. I'm not saying he's not injured. I've just never ever known a goalkeeper go off at half time. Like that last season, he went off at half time at Selhurst Park. It just seems to happen an awful lot, doesn't it? So yeah, let's try and let's see who's with me now, who's joined me live. I'm aware that there's obviously football on at the moment, so probably not going to get the usual amount of people live due to there being football taking place right now, and most people will be able to catch the second half of a game. But I wanted to jump on straight after the game and talk through how I saw things. David Dempsey says, are we going to get anyone wanting Martinez in the summer? He's more fragile than Austin McPhee. I'll tell you what, I think I did notice tonight, I could hear every word Unai Emery and Austin McPhee were saying. I don't know what it is about the acoustics at Selhurst Park, but I could literally hear every set piece. I could hear Austin McPhee, and you could hear Emery all the way through the game. In some ways, actually, what was going on the touchline with Emery and Glasner was it was distracting, because there was certainly a lively touchline tonight, wasn't it? A lively technical area with those two going at it with their players all the way through the game. You could hear every little thing that Emery was saying and every little thing that Austin McPhee was saying. Nick Leo Jones says, can't win every game. Good point. I'd go along with that. That's how I feel about it. And also says favourable results so far. Then this is just football, isn't it? Like, everyone sees things differently. Everyone sees games differently. Kevlar 57. Good evening, Kevlar says, poor. They were there for the taking. Possibly in the first half, I would say, Kevlar. I thought they're a bit fragile. They haven't won for 7. I think obviously it'll be 8 now. Some basic maths there from me. They hadn't won for 7 before tonight, and you could feel a little bit of frustration in the crowd in the first half. Although I will say their fans, that's the best home fans in the Premier League. Them are they really, really are. They stay behind their team through the whole game, sing through the whole game, no matter what's going on. I think they're brilliant, Crystal Palace fans at Selhurst Park. But you did sense they were a little bit fragile, a little bit nervy in the first half. Obviously, had a few, and they had a right wing back playing there who's not a right wing back, who I thought acquitted himself pretty well, actually, Devaney. At right wing back, given that he's left-footed and he's usually plays in one of the 10 positions when he is on the pitch. I thought he acquitted himself quite well, actually. But you could just sense it was maybe a little bit antsy. Palace haven't been in good form, but I thought in the second half they were much improved, whatever Glasner said at half time, and they caused us a few problems. I thought Brennan Johnson was pretty lively all the way through the game. Great save from Martinez in the first half from his one-on-one. But I thought Johnson caused us problems with his liveliness. Obviously, flashed one across the goal for Mateta, didn't he? In that second half, I had that scramble where Lindelof had to recover and get back to the line and clear one off the line. So Palace had moments in the second half, and it did feel like for the main part, maybe until the last 5-10 minutes of that half. They were the ones in the ascendancy in the second half, whereas in the first half, I really thought we were the aggressors. I thought we took the game to Crystal Palace and actually played some nice triangles, played some nice stuff. I think Emery would have been relatively pleased with what he saw in the first half, but probably not in the second half, as you person man says here. Their opinion, very poor second half. Dan, Matt C says, basically a standard Villa away performance. Can't win every tight game. At least no bloopers this time. Yeah, that's encouraging because, we've chucked in goals away from home. The list of bad goals we've conceded away from home is there for everyone to see, but we haven't done that tonight. And when a game's been tight, we've managed to keep that clean sheet. Just a shame that, we couldn't have saved one of our worldies for this game because we've scored so many great goals away from home in victories and whatnot. Shame we couldn't save one of them for this evening, although actually, because we've won games so narrowly, then we would have drawn another game, so that would have been absolutely no good at all. Andy Brogan says, evening, Dan, it's not a loss, we move on. Up the Villa, yeah, agree with that. Mark Elkington, cap thrower in the Holton, says, awful second half. Come on, Mark, you're a reasonable guy. We could have won that at the end, and I was up off my seat when I thought Victor Lindelof was going to score. He's probably going to come out the team soon for Pau Torres, which will actually be harsh because I think he's been absolutely brilliant. And I thought he's arguably man of the match today. Victor Lindelof, I thought him and Konsa were both absolutely brilliant, despite us never been bombarded. Just how good Konsa is on the ball and the way he comes forward and the way them two were at the back blocks and stuff. I thought they were both brilliant when they did have to defend. If Lindelof had scored, Christ, that would have been a story, wouldn't it? It was an unlucky header off the post. Ollie in the first half as well, he hasn't scored, and when he doesn't score, there's criticism. But he's been scoring the goals away from home in recent weeks, and of course one at home at the weekend against Forest as well. Just watching him tonight, I felt he was much more fluid than he would have been a month ago, making those runs that we associate him with. He even had a left foot shot tonight. It wasn't a very good one, but he did have a left foot shot tonight. He was unlucky with his little dinker as he went through on goal. A great ball from Tielemans on his left foot. Love that pass. Could watch that all night. But yeah, it's I can see why people are frustrated, but in the face of it, I think maybe people will wake up tomorrow and realise that's a decent point. And Emery will have wanted to win, and you can see him on the touchline knowing the way he is, knowing he would want to win. But I think deep down as well, he'll know that's a decent point tonight. Dean Avery's baseman Dean says, haven't lost against them, which is progress in this fixture, but they have been crap for a long time. Well, that's probably fair. Look, I'm not going to disagree with anyone who thought it was a bad half, thought it was there for the taking, thought that we could have won. But I just think in the cold light of day, I don't think that's a bad point. Maybe it's not a really fantastic point. Obviously, when you come back and recover a point from behind and things like that, there's such a thing as a good point. But I don't watch that tonight and think we've let ourselves down or not putting a good performance away from home or anyone played particularly badly. I think it was a tough game, nitty-gritty game. Someone could have nicked it at any point, really. As I say, them in the second half, I think they were the more likely. Probably us in the first half were the more likely. I think that probably tells you that it's a fair result. I haven't seen the metrics or the stats back because I've come straight upstairs. But I think probably a fair result. I think both sets of fans would probably agree that's a fair result. What else have we got in the chat here? The handball's an interesting one. I haven't seen anyone mention it, but I haven't seen a definitive angle of it. But a lot of people are saying that it should have been a handball. I mean, we must be the only team in the Premier League that hasn't had a penalty this season. But people I trust about football messaged me at the time saying that's a blatant penalty, that's a definite penalty. I don't know what happened to me when the replays were being shown, but I didn't see anything that I thought was a definitive angle of that definitely being a penalty. As much as I said this afternoon that we're due a draw because we haven't drawn for 15 games. I said, we're due a penalty in the Premier League, well overdue a penalty in the Premier League, aren't we? And Mike Warmbold says, I think the ref got more wrong than right when deciding goal kicks or corners. Emery got the subs wrong for the first time in a long time. We're a little bit hamstrung with what we can do on the bench at the moment. The subs are always pretty obvious ones right now in terms of whether it's Sancho or Buendia starting, one of them coming on, Bogard coming on to see games out, Marlon coming on at some point as well as he always does. We're a bit predictable with subs at the moment. It's not a dig at Emery at all from me, there's only so much we can do. Swap the left back, which we're very good at because we've got two high quality left backs. We just don't have those kind of options all around at the moment, like we do at left back to make those changes. So I wouldn't get at the subs too much because there's only so much you can do right now. We've got a few players missing, haven't we? The central midfield area is the critical one for me. I think people don't realise how good Ross Barkley is. When you can bring him into a game like that, I think he probably comes on and makes a difference. If you've got a Nana either starting or you can bring him on for a set piece, he might grab you something. Yeah, there's critical players in the midfield areas missing at the moment. So there's only, at the end of the game, I'm sure with 10 minutes left, 15 minutes left, rather than bringing Bogard on almost to see it out, Emery would rather us be the aggressors and bring on someone like Barkley or Onana, but he's just not able to do that at the moment. I thought maybe we'd see Torres on at some point. Maybe he could play a pass that would break the lines. But I think because of the way the game was set and the fact we were under pressure at various points, I think keeping Konsa and Lindelof together was probably the right thing to do. And I think you'll probably see Pau Torres on Saturday against Tottenham Hotspur. Kevin James says, Martinez doing my head in. WTF is up with him. As I said at the start, I don't want to get on his back because I do love Emi Martinez. I think he's a fantastic goalkeeper, and his save in the first half was a critical save. But I have never known a goalkeeper that either gets injured in the warm-up or goes off at half-time so much. You just don't see it from any other goalkeepers. I can't recall another goalkeeper that seems to happen to so much. So credit to Bizot because he does have to come in difficult circumstances when that kind of thing happens. And other than one hairy moment where Lindelof probably bailed him out a little bit, he's fine, isn't he? He's an able deputy, but it's getting frustrating. Martinez keep having to go off, and as I say, it happened at Selhurst Park last year, didn't it? But thankfully this year it's Bizos coming on and not Robin Olsen. Connor Ryan F1J says, new to this podcast is brilliant. A good point, as we always lose at Selhurst Park. Thank you very much, Connor, for the kind words. Glad you're finding it, and you've got about 10 years to go back and catch up on this channel. So if you're looking for something to do for the rest of the week, 10 years worth of episodes, and maybe an old friend called Tom Julian might even pop up in a podcast booth if you go back and watch. Cat Cannon, always on the stream, says, well, at least they didn't score, which is not usual. Probably in a tight game, a good job that Ismail Assar wasn't playing or wasn't about to come into the game. So, yeah, I think had he been on the pitch, Crystal Palace probably would have scored tonight, wouldn't they? Yeah, I'm glad he's at AFCON. Harry Villa Till I Die says, I don't mind a 0-0 draw, especially as we never played great. Couldn't really break them down, but Man City drew, so it makes our draw feel better. Oh, did Man City draw? Did they? I still haven't made my way all the way down the stream, so I don't want to say anything that might be incorrect. They are. They drew 1-1. And when I came upstairs, it was Burnley 1, Manchester United 0. It's now Burnley 1, Manchester United 2. So not that really makes a difference to us because I don't think they'll catch us, but slightly annoying because I would have liked to have had a go at Flex next week at TalkSport, but never mind. Newcastle have equalised as well against Leeds. Again, not that they're anywhere near us right now. What else have we got in the chat? Yeah, Samwell PV says, up the Villa, other results make it a good evening. Guess much it's weird to say this. It sounds bizarre, this coming out of my mouth. Much will depend on what happens with Arsenal and Liverpool tomorrow night. Of course, big game on Thursday night in the Premier League. Could quite feasibly be a draw, that game, which would be a good result for Villa, wouldn't it? So yeah, all's not lost. When you think about where it is that we've gone this evening, bearing in mind that we're just always hopeless there. Maybe that's another thing that's playing into my mind and my kind of feeling around the result. Maybe I'm basing too much on the fact that it's just a terrible place for us to go over the years. But yeah, it's. I honestly think that's a good point. Maybe I'm being overly positive. I wouldn't want to get accused of toxic positivity here, but you aren't going to win every game. And people are pointing to the fact we lost our last away game against Arsenal, of course, but what's that, 11 wins, 1 draw and 1 defeat in 13? We were due a draw because there hadn't been one for such a long time. Mike Warmbold says, McGinn was incredibly poor and should have come off instead of Sancho for Buendia. I didn't think he was poor. I think what McGinn's got, he's got a very specific skill set. And even though sometimes he might be having a quiet game, there was a definite, he's very good at the kind of one-touch flicks and passing the ball around the corner, quick interchanges. That is the way we like to play, particularly away from home. So even if he's not necessarily standing out and having a brilliant game, he's very good at that kind of thing. I think when Sancho went off for Buendia, that was the sub in my mind. I was thinking might be next. Not that my kind of judgment of subs is the be all and end all, but I felt that was a more obvious substitution than taking McGinn off. I will say that I thought it was interesting the way we set up tonight in terms of McGinn was playing centrally rather than off the right. Sancho played on the right, Rodgers, of course, on the left, because we could have done that in a different way. Sancho could have played left, Rodgers could have played through the middle, and McGinn off the right. So we could have used those three differently to what we did now. Maybe that's a disappointment. I thought maybe those three would be a bit more fluid and interchange a little bit more through the game, and that never really seems to happen. They seem to stick to their positions, but it felt like there would have been a reason that John McGinn kind of played in the central areas, because Palace, obviously their formation with playing the two in midfield, they only have two central midfielders. It did feel like McGinn was dropping more back to make it a midfield three at times with Tielemans and Kamara. Maybe it was to try and just maybe restrict Wharton and maybe just try and outnumber them in that area. I'm not sure. Unai Emery will know the reasons for it. I'll never get to ask him what his reason was for, because McGinn hasn't played as a central 10 too much in the last couple of years. So that was I thought that was an interesting kind of side quest to the game, if that's even a thing. James Wilson says, hard-earned point, nothing else to say, really. Yeah, that's the thing tonight. Like, I don't think that's a bad display either. I've not looked at anyone on that pitch and thought, oh, he's had a bit of an off game. It was a bit of a workman-like performance at times, but I think it's always going to have to be that way when you're playing at Crystal Palace. The disappointment maybe would be in the first half when we were on top, we didn't score. That would be maybe the only thing. But then they'll be looking at that there from their point of view in the second half as well, that when they were on top, they didn't manage to get a goal. But I thought Palace were off it in the first half and came back a different outfit in the second half. That's for sure. Mike A. Mitchell says, how many fouls, corners and penalties did the ref not blow his whistle for? Tielemans getting rugby tackled in the penalty box. I mean, VAR looked at it and cleared it, so I wouldn't necessarily point too many fingers at the referee there. It's just a flawed system, because if the ref sees that and gives it, VAR don't overturn it. VAR are the ones that get to scrutinise it and are the ones that get to look at it. Referee sees it once. They never tend to do anything about that kind of thing, although pick and choose, isn't it? Because in another game tonight, maybe that's happened and a penalty's being given. But I'll tell you, my wife thought that was a penalty with her limited football knowledge. She felt that was a definite penalty. She said she couldn't understand why that wasn't a foul. So maybe sometimes the people that, don't know the nuances of the game and how it works, maybe like out the mouth of babes, that's maybe she's the one that's actually right there. What else have we got? Scrolling down, loads of you in the chat tonight. I can't keep up with it. Yeah, I thought that said Detira 651. So Tielemans wasn't good second half. Yeah, a few misplaced passes. It's a decent presentable opportunity in the second half as well. Unbelievable player, Yuri Tielemans, fantastic footballer, but I thought he wasn't at his high level in the second half. I definitely felt that as well, and it was something that I thought watching the game. Slim Jim, like I say, everyone's got different opinions on football, haven't they? Says, if we can't beat them today, then when? Yeah, it's probably a fair comment. Not one I necessarily agree with, but I think it's a fair one, isn't it? To feel like that. What else have we got? Oh, Chelsea. I forgot about Chelsea. I forgot that Chelsea are even like in the same conversation as us. Considering Chelsea lost and City drew at home, says Dan Walcott, brother of Theo. A point away at our bogey team is a decent result. I would go along with that. Sam Nixon agrees with me. It's a good point, but the standard of refereeing is just shocking. I didn't mind the way the ref let the game flow, kind of generally. I thought I was okay with that. I quite prefer it when they do that rather than being whistle happy. But yeah, the rugby tackles in the box and things that get missed like that, they're the ones that do my head in a little bit. Here he is, David A. Styles, hard earned, don't mind it. Let's give Luca Dean credit for that block after Bizot's parry. Big moment, yes. This is why I do it live, so people can remind me of stuff that's happened in case I forget. That was a massive moment in the game. Never mind the scramble that I went on about earlier. That was also a big moment when Lindelof hooked it clear. Some block from Luca D. And I thought he was quite narrow in the first half, actually, which was interesting. He was almost inverting a little bit. I don't know whether that was by design, I thought Bizot's parry was a little bit suspect because he kind of punched it back into a dangerous area. I felt, but yeah, great recovery from Luca D, and that was a big moment in the game. That was a really really good block from Luca D. And so David A. Styles there, right to call it out. Well done, David A. Styles. This is why I like you being on the stream so much. I sound like Pep then with a so much. What else have we got here? Yeah, Steve Jackson. Emery was livid, and David A. Styles again. Not seeing Emery that pissed for a long time. Ref made a few honking mistakes. Honestly, Emery was box office on the sideline tonight, wasn't he? He really was. As Sam Nixon says, Emery usually straight down the tunnel. This game, he goes to the referees, shows just how angry he was at the ref. So yeah, something's upset him. Don't know exactly what it would have been. I would need to go back and see stuff more after the game. I haven't seen anything, but yeah, it's he certainly wasn't happy at the end. Interesting thing that I'd missed, and I don't know whether I think he'll probably miss the FA Cup rather than our game. But Cat Cannon said Grealish got himself sent off for Everton tonight. Is he banned for our game? And then straight away, Paul 160889 says Grealish misses the FA Cup game. So as long as he's fit, he should be playing at Villa Park. Oh, Seb Detira 651 says it was Ollie that headed it, not Lindelof. I thought it was Lindelof. So I spent 5 minutes talking about how good it would have been for Lindelof to score. It wasn't even him. That's how behind I am on the chat as well. By the way, I'm going to go down to the bottom of the chat here to see what's going on here, because I wouldn't have gone on a 5-minute poetry about Lindelof nearly scoring if I'd known it wasn't him. I really thought it was him. On the replay, it looked like him as well. Tells you what I know. What else have we got here? Jamie T. Knowing recent form at Selhurst Park, I was expecting the worst. We can't always win games, so a point away isn't terrible. Let's look forward to another London trip on Saturday and hopefully an FA Cup run. I completely go along with that. I would. Jamie T. What else have we got? And this is again the nuance of football. Jay Colette's telling me it was Lindelof. Should I title this podcast Lindelof or Watkins? That is the question. Who was it? Just because I've caught up with the chat now, just let me know who you think it was out of the two that had that header that hit the post at the end. Because I was convinced it was Victor Lindelof, but a few people have said it's Ollie Watkins. A few people are saying it's Victor Lindelof. Let's end the stream by trying to get to the bottom of this. Let's carry out an investigation now live on YouTube. I honestly thought it was Victor Lindelof. So let's see what people are saying in the chat. Just let me know whether you. Oh no, Neil Hodgett, the header was Watkins, not Lindelof. And then next person, Sub-Home Gamer, yep, Lindelof. Next two, Watkins headed it. What do I do here? I don't know who. That tells you how close it was, because we've got all kinds of different opinions. Though Watkins does seem to be shading it here. Yeah, okay. There's a few people who saw it like me, but there's Rich Burton says definitely Watkins, 100%. Yeah, everyone's saying Watkins. So me and a few others wrong. I want the definitive answer from David A. Styles, please. Whatever David A. Styles says, and hopefully he doesn't say Yuri Tillemans or anything like that. Whatever David A. Styles says, we'll settle on that, because he's on every single live stream. Is David A. Styles, even when he's on holiday. So what he says goes. At this point, really, there's not much else left for me to say, really, other than I've given my opinion. I think it's a decent point. Let me know in the comments on YouTube and in Spotify, and not on Apple because I don't do comments. Let me know your thoughts on whether it was whether you think it was a good point or a bad point. We've got a show tomorrow morning going over this game in a little bit more detail, with a little bit more nuance than me jumping on here straight after the full-time whistle. Oh, if Townley says it's Watkins, Steve Jackson, then it was probably Lindelof. If John Townley says it was Ollie Watkins. But yeah, there's going to be a show. Mark Carey, who did the Forest review with me, he's going to be back with me tomorrow morning. We're going to record a show that will be out at some point tomorrow, getting inside the 0-0 draw at Selhurst Park, because he's been in the press box for The Athletic this evening, data analyst for The Athletic, Mark Carey. So he will join me tomorrow. So there'll be another show looking at the game in more detail, rather than just me rambling on and trying to decipher whether someone headed the ball off the post, which one of our players it was. Sub-On Gamer says, great aftercast, Dan. I've never heard it called that. Quite like that. So great aftercast, Dan, as always. Yeah, maybe me jumping on live isn't for everyone after a game, talking to myself and kind of talking to the people that are watching live, but I like doing it, to be honest. After the games, I enjoy. I sound like David Brent there. I enjoy it. So yeah, good stuff. And there's a lot of people with me tonight watching as well live. So that's absolutely brilliant. Don't forget to check out the Loot Roper code as well. Get yourself 20% off Loot Roper gear by using the code TVV20. If you have watched this stream via YouTube, whether you've watched it live or whether you're catching up after the football has finished, don't forget to subscribe with your post notifications on. We're so close to 30,000 subscribers now. If you're watching this and you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that button to subscribe to the channel and get me my dream of 30,000 subscribers, please. If you can help with that and you're not subscribed already and you're watching this, that's all I ask of you this evening. Give it a like and leave a comment as well. I mean, I've just said it's all I'm asking of you and then giving you two other things and about to ask people to do other stuff as well. So yeah, not true what I just said there. If you're listening via Apple Podcasts or Spotify, if you could give us 5 stars, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, leave us a comment on Spotify. Brilliant to see how many people listen to the audio versions. Obviously, you guys don't see the numbers around the audio, but I do, and it's very, very strong. 1874 across audio platforms, so that it's great. It's great that so many people are listening to the show, watching the show in different ways. So yeah, thank you very much for your continued support of the channel. And if anyone wants to support the channel further, absolutely nobody has to. If you head to buymeacoffee.com/Dan Bardell, you can do that. Sub-On Game has been here since the Villa View. I will say we're planning on doing some throwback shows in the next couple of weeks, ideally before my baby arrives, because that is coming around very, very fast. But yeah, Rollo, myself and Matt Lynch are planning on doing some stuff because it's coming up to the 10-year anniversary of the inception of the Villa View, which is, of course, what this channel used to be called before it got rebranded to 1874. So yeah, we're going to do some stuff around that for those that are interested. And I'll get in touch with Tom Julian as well, see if we can get him back. Some people might be asking, who's Tom Julian? If you've watched us when it was the Villa View, you'll know he's a channel legend. And of course, Rollo, who now does Claret and Blue, was part of us when we were the Villa View as well. This whole thing was his idea, actually. So we owe Dan Rollinson a lot. Have a great evening. Don't forget to check out the show tomorrow. I believe Claret and Blue are possibly live right now or going live after me. So that if you want to hear someone else talk about Crystal Palace nil, Aston Villa nil, great. If you don't, save yourself for tomorrow's show with myself and Mark Carey. I'm going to go and stick on at the end of one of the other games that's on this evening as well.